Hey everybody. People always ask me, Manny, what tools should I be using for my Amazon business? Well, this episode is brought to you by helium10.com. These are the same tools I use to generate 6 figures per month with Amazon FBA. I get keyword research, product tracking, listing optimization, search term tracking, account monitoring, and a lot of other brand new money pulling tools that are going to be released to Helium 10 members on a regular basis. If you're going to grab any tools, check these out. Seriously, get a massive advantage with the tools that top sellers are using right now. Okay, and they're all in one place. Some tools and services will have a user cap, so get in there as quickly as you can. That's helium10.com, helium10.com.
Warning, the following podcast has been classified as insanely lucrative. Listener discretion is advised.
They don't tell you anything. They basically says, you have an infringement, we pulled your stuff. They don't tell you what the infringement is. They didn't tell me the name of the company that filed the infringement.
Your attention, please. Listening to the AMPM podcast may cause recurring revenue streams and unfair advantages over your competitors. Other side effects may include fatter wallets, fired bosses, and longer vacations. Listen at your own risk. Here's your host, 7-figure entrepreneur and online marketing madman, Manny Coates. Manny Coates.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the AMPM podcast. My name is Manny Coates, and I will be your host, and this is the show where we discuss how to generate recurring revenue streams 24 hours per day during the AM and the PM, hence the name of the show, AMPM Podcast. As a matter of fact, I am in Spain. I am about to go have some breakfast, some Spanish breakfast, and while I eat that breakfast down, I will be making money. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. I'm actually doing this intro. This probably sounds all echoey and weird because I'm in a small room right now. Like I said, about to head out. And I forgot to do the intro for the podcast that I did with Guy in the States before I left. So I'm doing things backwards. And now I'm trying to get this uploaded so he can get it uploaded. But anyways, guys, we're going to jump into the podcast with myself and Guy, so enjoy.
I am here with Guillermo Puyol. It has been forever since we've gotten on the podcast together to talk about anything. Guy, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Manny. I'm excited to be here again on the AMPM podcast, sharing with everybody. How are you, man?
Oh, I'm tired. As you know, I'm leaving for Spain tomorrow, and man, that's going to leave you with basically handling everything. How excited are you about that?
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to take on every single responsibility. No, but I think it'll be okay. It's gonna be a well-deserved rest for you. So just enjoy it. Take advantage of it, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. So we're gonna talk about a number of things here. The first one, though, that I think is kind of funny and cool is that you and I drank something interesting, right? We talked about beer. We were in Austin at the Amazing Summit, 2016 Amazing Summit, and the topic came up about what would happen if you were able to replace the carbonation in beer with helium instead of the typical, I believe it's CO2 and nitrogen, right? So we talked about that, and we made a video of us drinking helium beer, and it's fitting, right? Because we run Helium 10.
Yeah, it was really fun to shoot that video. And actually, if you want to take a look at it, we shared the video at the Helium 10 blog at helium10.com/blog, or you can find it on Facebook by going to just searching for the group FBA High Rollers. We shared it there as well. It's really fun, really cool. Check it out.
Yeah, we were going to actually try to do a serious we were going to give some value, some information related to private label while we were drinking this. But you'll see in the video, we don't even get about a minute in, and we just can't. We can't do it. It's just too funny. So I crack up every time I see it. I'm just like, oh my God, how did we even get that far? So Helium 10 beer, guys. Not Helium 10 beer, Helium beer. But it should be Helium 10.
Right.
All right. Cool. So that's posted. Go check that out. As I mentioned, I'm going to be heading off to Spain, so I'm going to be out of commission for the next couple weeks. I'll be checking in when I can. We're trying to get some podcasts lined up. I'll check on to I'll see if I can log into our Facebook group every once in a while. But Guy is going to be the guy in charge. Man, what else? I guess we had a couple things happen. Let's talk about brand gating. I want to talk about brand gating, and then I want to talk about a product, one of my best products that got blocked. So we're going to talk about those two things. So brand gating, right? Everybody knows about this. We did a podcast episode on it. Is where Amazon is now going in and they're locking up specific brands because they don't want people to start selling tons of counterfeits. So you got Nike and Lego and Adidas and all these big brands that are brand gated now, meaning if you try to go in and sell one of those products, it's usually for retail ARB guys, but if you go in and try to sell, you can't. It doesn't let you unless you apply and they approve you, and you got to pay a non-refundable deposit. It's like something like $500 to $1,500 on average, right, Guy? Sometimes a little higher.
Yeah, we've heard reports of in some cases I hear reports of up to 5,000. I have not personally seen them, but the 500 to 1,500 is definitely the range.
Yeah, and so I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to do everything I can to try to get my brands gated because I don't want anybody jumping on there. I don't want any hijackers. I don't want anybody selling anything that I sell. Okay, because these are my private label products. So I put on there, Amazon's terms of service say that you must be able to provide a factory warranty when you're selling something new, and I very clearly state on my product that the only company that is allowed to give any kind of warranty is company X, right? And that's my company. So that kind of solves part of that issue, but it doesn't mean that people can't jump on the listing. They still do. So I applied at Amazon. I tried to see if I can get the right people, and you know how it is, Guy. The first 7 times I was getting somebody overseas answering seller support, and it just was going nowhere. And eventually I did get it through to the right people, and they reviewed my product, came back, and said, we have an answer in terms of gate restricting your product. And that answer was, you are declined. So, I was declined, Guy.
Yeah. I think this is such a new program, and with Amazon, they roll out everything slowly. So I think they're going to focus their effort in the biggest brands, in the Legos, in the Nikes. But I see in the near future, they will actually allow that for across the board, I would say.
Yeah, well, that's what they said. They said even though they declined my request to actually gate my product, it wasn't because of any specific factors or like I had anything bad with my account. They said it was some internal stuff, but they did kind of hint that their primary target when it comes to the data is that they're looking for brands that have a high level of counterfeiting going on. So that's why they're going after these big brands, and they're locking those things up. And we've seen people in our group, in our Facebook group, that have said that they just automatically got brand gating. And my product, just so everybody's aware, I mean, I have the trademark, I have brand registry, I have everything in line that would be required for brand gating. But the one thing I don't have is I don't have a high level of counterfeiting going on in my product. So they just said nope. So I think you're right, though, Guy. I think there's probably hundreds of thousands, if not more, brands out there. So they're just kind of systematically going through and taking the worst offending ones in terms of counterfeits first, and then going down from there.
Right.
So that was a brand gating thing. Another thing that happened that was devastating, this happened last Friday, was that one of my main products, my best-selling product, actually got blocked. Amazon said I'm no longer allowed to sell it, and it was a intellectual property rights infringement issue. So that was pretty devastating. It happened on Friday. They didn't say, this is the thing I hate, Guy, they don't tell you anything. They basically says, you have an infringement, we pulled your stuff. They don't tell you what the infringement is. They didn't tell me the name of the company that filed the infringement. They don't tell me whether it was an infringement in regards to my brand, like, somebody saying, hey, you know what, I own this brand name and you're trying to sell it, or if it was me, using somebody else's brand name somewhere. They don't tell you anything. So, and we talked about this. That was so frustrating.
Yeah, and they're so cryptic with their messages. The only information we had to go by was a name and an email address, and the email address was not even from a professional domain, like an actual company domain, but it was like Gmail, something generic, Hotmail, Yahoo.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous that they take down a product that's selling so much every day on just a claim that you have no information whatsoever on how to deal with it.
Right. Yeah. The email was a 163.com email, which is, I guess it's the equivalence of, like you said, a Hotmail or a Gmail here. In China, it's a Chinese free service email. And they gave me the name of the person, which was a very generic Chinese name, right? Think of John Smith. So Googling that helped nothing at all, zero. But luckily, the portion of the name in that email had the brand or the company, and we were able to track down the company, and we saw that this company had a similar product to my product, and so we looked into it a little bit more, looked into the back end, and found that the infringement appears to have been the fact that their brand name was being used in the back end search terms somewhere, right? The 2,000 characters that were back there. So but yeah, contacting Amazon and saying, okay, well, we've removed anything, we cleaned it up, blah, blah, blah. They are like, well, you need to, it was just a form letter saying you need to contact the complainants at this email address, and we cannot reinstate your account until they contact us. It's at notice@amazon.com, I believe was the email. They have to contact us and withdraw their claim. And I was like, oh my gosh. So they're in China, Guy, right? They're in China. It's Friday, so we're going into the weekend. It's also a holiday in China, right? What was it? Do you remember what the holiday was? Something, I forget what it is.
I'm not sure.
One of there's a moon festival of some kind. I'm drawing a blank. But anyways, so everybody was gone, right? Because of the weekend, the festival, and there was no way of getting a hold of them. I emailed them. They didn't respond. They still haven't responded. I believe they have 24 to 48 hours to respond. That's what I was told. But luckily, I have other avenues. I reached out to a number of people and used some I guess, strategies. And although I went down on Friday, and most people, we were talking about this in our FBA High Rollers group, said the same thing happened to them. They've been down for weeks. Some people said even months, and they were still working on it. I was down for 2 days. I came back online on Sunday. Amazon reinstated it, basically said, hey, don't let this happen again, or we might remove your selling privileges. But at least I was back. So it happened very quickly, Guy. So I was happy because I'm like, man, I'm just about to leave to Spain, and my top product is it's not selling. I had inventory that was arriving via truck to Amazon like within the next day or two. I have a big sea shipment. It was about another 6,000 units that was just going out, and I just placed an order for a huge amount of units for Christmas to get everything here. So it was just like, this was just bad timing, especially since I was going to be gone for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it was definitely lucky break that happened so quickly. I mean, in the midst of everything bad that happened, I guess we were lucky. Now, I think it's important to emphasize the fact that we don't really know what the cause was. We just think that it was the brand name in the backend search term. So if you have brand names in the backend search terms, you might want to look at that. We do have reports that Amazon is being a lot less lenient on that, so they're really looking into that. But again, with Amazon, you just don't know.
Yeah. Well, I heard it specifically from somebody who works at Amazon that within the last month, the last 30 days, he has been seeing tons and tons of these scenarios where people's accounts are either getting suspended or the product's getting blocked or suspended because of trademark usages in the back end. This has never been the case for the most part. For I started this business back in December, and I've always had specific trademarks in my listings. Typically, there were actually, I wouldn't say typically, there were never any issues. I know you're not supposed to do that when Amazon doesn't allow you or doesn't want you to do that. But if you're selling something, let's say you're selling a case or a device, let's say it's speakers for mobile phones, and you want to say, hey, this is compatible with iPhone and Android, you're using trademarks. So in those cases, it's typically okay. But from what I've heard, Amazon is really cracking down on everything related to trademarks. So as you just mentioned, definitely go through. I went through and cleaned everything out of my listing. I don't want to have a second strike because that second strike could completely hurt me in a bad way. And I just took everything out. Now I know that's going to affect some nice conversions that I was getting in terms of sales, but at least my listing is going to be safe. So I should also mention, Guy, that, because people are probably going to ask, well, shoot, man, if everybody else has been down for weeks and months, how did you get back up in just 2 days? Okay. The answer to that is I really can't say. It's something that I did and that I use that's effective, but if it gets out to the masses, it wouldn't work. So I am going to share it, though. I'm going to share it with a select few in October after I get back, and it's going to be at a special event that I'm going to be putting on. And Guy, you know what it is. We'll be talking about that next month in October.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's
definitely stay tuned, guys.
Yeah, some high level stuff that it really makes a big difference. So anyways. That was that. Did I miss anything on that, Guy? I think I covered that topic pretty well.
Yeah, I think we can move on of that nightmare.
That nightmare. I know. Well, I think that's about it. I wanted to keep this podcast pretty short. Is there anything else that you wanted to? Oh, you know what? We actually let's talk about the Amazing Summit. We went to 2 conferences. We'll talk about that for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I want to send a shout out to all the people that approached us and they say they listen to the podcast. It's really cool when you actually get to see some of the faces of the people that are getting value from the podcast, and they say they like it, they say good things about it. So it's really, really cool, and thank you guys. As for the conference, what were your thoughts, Manny, the 2 conferences that we went to?
Okay, so we went to 2. We went to Amazing Summit 2016, and we were there for the conference was actually 3 days, and then when we got back, we went to Feedvisor for 1 day, and that was just kind of a last-minute, spur of the moment type thing. But let's start at the beginning. So Amazing Summit, that was an awesome conference. It was probably the best conference I've been to in a long time in terms of the show that Matt Clark and Jason put on. It was just crazy. You knew it was going to be like entertaining when you're sitting there and it starts off and they've got this techno music going crazy and there's this band playing and there's a girl up there with a violin, going nuts with this music. And then at the same time, you've got this guy out there dressed up like something out of like Mad Max, right? And he's got a chainsaw and he's carving ice and he's cutting out words. And that was like the first 5 minutes of the whole show. And it was good. I mean, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the production value of the conference was really high. It was very well put together. The content was great. I heard from some people, some of the speakers had less actionable content than others, but I think that's important too, because some of the things may not be super actionable, but they're high level thinking that as entrepreneurs you must have. So you may not be able to apply that right away, tweak something on your listing or something along those lines and see instant returns. But like, for example, the
founder of Uggs.
Founder Uggs, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, his speech was very interesting. It's like a glimpse into the past and basically your future as a brand owner, where he goes and details how he grew Uggs to a multi-billion-dollar brand. So I really enjoyed both the non-actionable and the actionable content that we saw.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a very good speech, and I ended up going up and speaking right after him. I'm like, man, I gotta go follow a billionaire. So it's gonna be fantastic. But that was cool. The show was great. We got there a little bit earlier. I think a couple days before the show started. We walked in. We had these little frisbees that we were going to be giving out. So Guy and I had the whole conference room to ourselves. It's humongous, right? And we're just throwing them around, testing our throwing skills. We didn't want to beam anybody in the head or hit lights or cameras or anything like that. So we did a little practice a couple days before. And then, a handful of people there won some pretty high value discs that we threw out live during the event. Guy got on stage with me, was pumping up the crowd with the music and stuff. It was pretty awesome. Guy, I'm gonna have to show that video, that clip. I don't know if when they publish it.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool.
Yeah. So also, I highly recommend these shows, guys. Even if you think you're not going to learn anything, we were sitting next to Kevin King. He's one of my buddies. A lot of you guys know I've had him on the podcast, and the whole time he's just like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to learn anything, because he's a pretty high level guy, and then eventually, you see the pen going, and I'm making fun of him. I'm like, oh, so you're not learning anything, huh? So there's always a nugget, right? You're always going to find something at the show, any show that's going to be great. And even if you don't learn anything during the actual speeches, most of the shows, people are meeting up afterwards. You're going up to the bar, you're socializing there. This one in particular, though, had a 25K per month. What do you call it? A banquet, I guess you could say, or social, where everybody had to be selling. You had to apply and prove that you were making at least $25,000 a month in sales. And then, so there was a room with almost 200 people that were doing this. And man, we were just learning ourselves. We were learning nonstop. Everybody we talked to had like a nugget. We were giving our nuggets. They were giving theirs. Right, Guy? It was awesome.
Yeah, and the networking is awesome, regardless of the content. And I'm not saying the content was bad, but even if you're not going for the content, go for the networking. It's just one connection. Just one connection that you make at an event could make a huge difference. You could have either a nugget, like Manny says, or potentially a contact, or just a strategy. I mean, we learned a lot of things, and a lot of it was from the networking. So It was really fun, and we got to know a lot of people. Really, really cool.
Yeah, that was cool. Hanging out with all the software guys. Got to hang out with Jeff Cohen from Seller Labs. Had dinner with him and Brian Johnson from PPC Scope, Ryan Bredemeyer from Hello Profit, Guillermo from Helium 10. I don't remember. Am I missing anybody? That was the one dinner on one of the nights, but just doing that was just awesome. It's just cool, guys. Just definitely go. I'm going to try to start going to more of these events. I used to think, I'm too busy, I just can't get out, but it's worth it. It's just awesome. And then I should say, we mentioned this in the previous podcast, but that it was kind of a cool event as well because during the time that we were there at the Hyatt, we're waiting for the show to start. That's when the $1 millionth sale came through for my account. So that was kind of cool, to finally hit that. Again, for those of you that are just listening for the first time, or maybe a new listener, I've only been doing this for just over 9 months. So I don't even have a full year under my belt. So that was a big achievement for me. And if it wasn't for the account getting or my product getting slammed for the last couple of days, I'd probably have an even better month this month than I did the previous month, which was better than the last month. But this month is going to take a little hit, right? Because we took 2 days off, so to speak, while Amazon got their act together on my listing. But then we got back, and so we left there on Sunday and landed here. Guy flew out with me, crashed at my place, and then we had to get up at 5 a.m. to head to LA to go to the FeedVisor event. And that was interesting. I wasn't even sure what FeedVisor was up until we got to the event. And everybody there was cool. And we met a lot of people. The networking there was insane, though, wasn't it? Wasn't it great?
Yeah, I think the content was fine, but the networking was amazing.
Yeah, it was so good. We closed that place out. We stayed and talked to some high-level guys. Just about everybody there that we talked to were like high level. Like I think everybody that we talked to was like 6 figures per month or higher. There was and then the one guy, Mike, who's he's 7 figures per month. We're gonna get him on the podcast, so that's cool. And then there was one guy we didn't get to really talk to too much. That was 8 figures per month. I mean, think about that, guys. 10 million plus per month. That's crazy. So we did that, and yeah, we met a lot of the normal people or I wouldn't say normal, the people that are more commonly known. Cynthia Stein was there. Guy was having some drinks with a few people, some other software developers. So that was nice. Always worth going to these events.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to be of the mindset of just buying the recording, because typically when you get a pitch for an event, they give you the event for X number of dollars, and then for a lower price you can buy the recording. And yeah, the content is good, but nothing beats the networking. I think that's where it's at.
Yeah.
Because getting to actually talk to these people and interact with them and getting different opinions. Like we would ask a question and get 3 different answers, and they're all valid. So it's always a very, very interesting experience. So if you have an opportunity to get to an offline event, do it by all means.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, think outside the box on some of the stuff. Like, for example, just earlier I was talking about how I had to remove, back-end keywords and stuff that were brands and things like that. But think about it this way. If you're using AMS for advertising, not just sponsored ads, okay? But if you're using AMS, you can get your product without using their brand name right on their page, so you can still get the same effect, maybe even better, right? Because your product's going to be right below that buy button. You know what I'm talking about, Guy?
Yeah.
So it's a way of circumventing what you were doing before, but doing it legally, with Amazon's blessings, and your conversion rate's going to be higher anyways, and you don't have to risk getting your account shut down. So these are just things that, little nuggets here and there. That was one that Matt Clark was talking about on the podcast. There was another one that we learned at Amazing that we'll talk about in the future that I'm going to be implementing that will allow me to expand the product lines very quickly outside of Amazon that I never even heard of. You know which one I'm talking about, Guy. To just get it into all these online stores. And, like double our revenue maybe. Who knows? It's going to be interesting. So we're going to be talking about that later. That's a whole show right there. So that's about it. Guy, anything else you want to talk about? We're over 20 minutes, and I think we've covered a lot of the news here.
No, just one thing. The Q&As, we haven't received a lot of questions on voicemail lately. We definitely appreciate those. I think it makes it more dynamic if instead of me reading the questions, you guys send them in. You can do so by going to ampmpodcast.com. And on the sidebar, you can see Ask Manny a Question. So you can record the question, we'll play it here on the podcast, and we can get those answered for you.
Perfect, yeah. All right, guys, that's about it. If you want to reach out to us, you know how. And until next time, this is Manny Coates and Guillermo Puyol saying thank you for listening. Take care, guys.
You've been listening to the AM/PM podcast hosted by Manny Coates. For more information, insider tools, and to get the resources mentioned in this episode, visit ampmpodcast.com.